5 brain games to play daily. Beat memory loss after 60. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? Or maybe you struggled to remember names that used to come so easily? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. Memory changes are a natural part of aging, but they don't have to define your golden years. In fact, keeping your brain sharp after 60 is easier than you might think. And today, I'm going to show you 5 simple brain games that can help you stay mentally sharp and beat memory loss. No fancy gadgets or complicated techniques required. But before we dive in, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We talk about practical ways to stay sharp, active, and full of life no matter your age, and I'd love to have you as part of this growing community. Also, if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up so more people can benefit from these simple yet powerful brain-boosting activities. Alright, let's get into it. Think of your brain like a muscle. Just like you wouldn't expect to stay strong without a little physical exercise, your mind needs its own kind of workout too. The good news? Exercising your brain can be as fun and simple as playing a game. And the first one I want to share with you is something you've probably enjoyed at some point in your life: word puzzles. Crossword puzzles, word searches, and even simple word games like Scrabble or Boggle are fantastic for keeping your mind engaged. When you challenge yourself to recall words, find patterns, or solve clues, you're strengthening the connections in your brain. And the best part? You can do this anywhere. Keep a crossword book on your coffee table, download a free word puzzle app on your phone, or even make a game out of remembering grocery lists without writing them down. Little exercises like this add up over time and keep your memory strong. Now, let's talk about another powerful game, one that might surprise you. Have you ever tried playing a round of 20 questions? You know, the game where one person thinks of an object, and the other asks yes or no questions to figure it out. It sounds simple, but it actually gives your brain a fantastic workout. Here's why. When you play, you're training your brain to recall details, make logical connections, and think critically, all key skills for keeping your memory sharp. You can even modify this to make it more personal. Instead of random objects, try playing with memories. Think back to a trip you took years ago and challenge yourself to remember details. What you ate, who you were with, what the weather was like. The more you engage your memory this way, the stronger it stays. And speaking of memory, let's move on to something that's both fun and a little nostalgic. Think back to childhood games, those simple, playful activities that made time fly by. Well, one of those games is actually a powerhouse for keeping your brain sharp. It's called Simon Says, and yes, it's just as effective for adults as it is for kids. At first glance, Simon Says might seem like just a physical game, but it's actually a test of your brain's processing speed, attention, and memory. You have to listen carefully, process instructions quickly, and separate what's relevant from what isn't. The best part? You don't need a partner to play. You can challenge yourself by following a sequence of physical movements, or even using an online version of the game. If you want to step it up, try a variation where you create your own sequence of moves, maybe a series of hand gestures or a small dance routine, and then challenge yourself to repeat it backwards. This kind of brain training forces your memory to work harder, strengthening the neural pathways that help keep your mind sharp. Now, if you're looking for something a little more relaxing but just as effective, let's talk about jigsaw puzzles. These aren't just for kids or rainy afternoons. Jigsaw puzzles are one of the best ways to improve problem-solving skills and visual spatial memory. When you sit down with a puzzle, your brain is working on multiple levels. You're recognizing patterns, visualizing where pieces might fit, and holding information in your short-term memory as you scan for the right match. The satisfaction of clicking a piece into place isn't just rewarding, it's strengthening your cognitive function. And don't worry about starting with a 1,000-piece masterpiece. Even smaller puzzles can give your brain a great workout. Plus, they can be a fun way to unwind while keeping your mind engaged. If you prefer a digital option, puzzle apps work just as well and can be played anywhere. Now, before we move on to the next brain game, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself humming along to a song you haven't heard in years? It's amazing how our brains can store music and lyrics even when we forget other details. And that brings us to another powerful memory booster, one that involves music in a way you might not expect. Music has a unique way of sticking with us. You might forget where you put your keys, but the lyrics to an old favorite song? Those stay locked in your memory for decades. And that's exactly why musical memory games are one of the most effective ways to keep your brain engaged. One simple yet powerful exercise is called Name That Tune. You can play it alone or with friends by humming a melody and challenging yourself to recall the title or artist. If you want to take it a step further, try to remember where you were when you first heard the song, who you were with, or what emotions it brought up. This strengthens not just memory recall but also emotional connections, which are deeply tied to brain function. Another great way to turn music into a brain game is by learning new lyrics, or even trying to play an instrument. If you've ever thought about picking up the piano, a ukulele, or even just tapping out rhythms on a tabletop, now is the perfect time. Learning something new forces your brain to create fresh connections, which is one of the best defenses against cognitive decline. Plus, it's just plain fun. Speaking of fun, let's talk about a game that can feel like pure entertainment, but is secretly giving your brain a serious workout: strategy games. Whether it's a game of chess, checkers, or even a round of Sudoku, these activities challenge your ability to think ahead, recognize patterns, and problem solve under pressure. Take chess, for example. Each move requires you to plan ahead, anticipate your opponent's next steps, and adjust your strategy in real time. Even if you're a complete beginner, just playing for a few minutes a day can improve focus, concentration, and decision-making skills. The same goes for Sudoku. Solving number puzzles strengthens logical thinking and boosts short-term memory. And if classic games aren't your thing, don't worry. There are plenty of modern options too. Strategy-based card games, online brain training apps, or even board games like Scrabble and Rummikub can be just as effective. The key is to challenge yourself regularly and keep your mind engaged in ways that feel enjoyable. Now, after all this talk about brain games, you might be wondering, how often should you play? The answer is simple. Daily practice makes all the difference. And there's one final brain-boosting game that ties everything together, helping improve memory, focus, and overall mental agility. That final game? It's storytelling. But not just any kind of storytelling. This is a memory-boosting exercise that challenges you to recall details, organize thoughts, and create connections between different pieces of information. Here's how it works. Start by choosing a memory, any moment from your life. It could be a childhood adventure, a funny family gathering, or even a trip you took decades ago. The key is to challenge yourself to remember as many details as possible. What did the place look like? What sounds filled the air? What were you wearing? The more sensory details you recall, the more engaged your brain becomes. If you want to make it even more challenging, try telling the story in reverse. Start with the ending and work your way back. This forces your brain to reorganize information in a new way, strengthening your recall ability. Another fun variation is to make up a story using random words or objects around you. Pick 3 words, say, umbrella, clock, and ocean, and weave them into a short story. This kind of exercise activates both memory and creativity, giving your brain a full workout. And if you really want to boost the benefits, share your stories with someone else. Talking, reminiscing, and even laughing about old memories aren't just good for the brain, they're great for the soul. Now, let's quickly reflect on everything we've covered. From Simon Says and jigsaw puzzles to music challenges, strategy games, and storytelling, each of these activities helps strengthen different aspects of brain function. The best part? You don't have to spend hours doing them. Just a few minutes a day can make a real difference in keeping your mind sharp and engaged. So, why not start today? Choose one of these brain games and give it a try. Let me know in the comments which one you're most excited about. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on staying sharp, active, and thriving at any age. Here's to a stronger mind and a happier life, because your best years are still ahead of you.